The halo design emerged from the international competition that we ran in 2003. It was one of the 3 prize winners from that process.
Halo was one of the designs that really, I think, stunned the judges, even at that stage. And I think we all saw the potential for something very special in Halo.
One of the thoughts that I had about this was, this is a place that has got one of the most stunning views, and it says so much about why people would want to come here, live here, visit here. The idea of putting it here, in this place, and where it looks to and what it reflects, and yeah, it's perfect.
The legacy of the Regional Park Programme, of which the Panopticons is a major contributor, is to be part of the government's Northern Way concept, the bringing together of 8 city regions across the north to compete with the more affluent regions such as the southeast, and to narrow that economic gap.
When we talk to business about, and particularly private sector developers, about what makes a place tick and what encourages them to make some of their investment decisions, more and more they're saying, well, we want a good quality environment, and public art is part of that. It gives a sense of place, a sense of belonging. It's something that local people, whether businesses or people living there, can actually identify with, and those are all very important parts of the regeneration mix.
This was a site that was picked by our local partners in Rossendale because it's a wonderful gateway site into East Lancashire, especially coming up the motorway from Manchester.
I know East Lancashire is quite a unique area. It's quite individual. It's got its own sort of quirky character. I think it demanded something quite interesting and different, and I came up with something that made out of steel. It's very strong and robust material, and that was raised off the ground somehow, so it could be seen from a long distance away. When I started to sketch up those ideas, it started to look a bit like a flying saucer. I looked on the internet, just typed in East Lancashire and UFO or something like that into Google, and sure enough, to my surprise, a lot of material started to come up about people that had been abducted from the area, and UFO sightings, and how East Lancashire was a hotspot for UFO activity.
Well, I think we were fortunate with Halo and Top of Slate, because Top of Slate was designated as a site for investment by Remade.
The site essentially was a derelict site, former quarry site, and Rossendale used it as a tip site for highway waste and bits of composting operations. Very much derelict and underused site, and the Remade programme was essentially to turn it into what you see coming on today, which will be public open space and a place of recreation for everybody.
We have reshaped a hillside basically, and yes, it was a lot more up and down, and there were some very steep gradients down towards that end of the site, and it's been levelled out to make it more user-friendly.
Well, there was a huge quarry face further down the site. That has been totally filled in. It was probably about 15 to 20 metres high. All the material that's been on site has been reprofiled. Even though it's been a challenge, it's been a good way of reusing materials on site.
So it's one of the things that we had to consider in the design was how we'd put it together. So we had to design it to fit together with this erection process in mind. And I think the way we designed it, the contractor fabricator was very pleased with how it went together. It was a small fabricator from Bacup called A.D. Morton's.
Designers are very good at designing things, but they're not practical people most of the time. So we have to put a practical element to it by explaining to them how things fit together. All we had were an artist's impression. And between the designers and us, which is the fabricators, we've developed what's actually ended up erected there now.
At night time, inside each of these 9 acrylic rings are about 700 light emitting diodes, cyan coloured diodes, and these tiny little lamps will just make that acrylic glow. So at night time it gives it its presence, which was the original concept. Well, the The lamps themselves are minuscule in terms of the amount of energy they need. The power itself comes from a wind turbine, which Rotary Engineering installed for us just over there on the site there. There's no carbon footprint for this installation in terms of its energy use.
We got a brief from Mid Pennine Arts. What they wanted to do was launch the Halo, but also include the people from Haslingden. We've just asked them about their memories of the area and organise a procession up to the Halo with sort of aspects of Haslingden.
And I guess that's the main thing, where we can, find something that's in common with everyone, really. You know what I mean? And this piece of art is in common with Haslingden and in Burnley and everywhere else where these Panopticons have been put up.
There's something very magical about this, and I can't wait to see it lit up, because I don't think very many people have seen that yet, and I'm really genuinely excited about that.
And I'm going to be a lawyer or a doctor or an actor when I grow up. One of them.